All right. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who are watching us online that missed the meeting today, we just spent a little time in devotion. We recapped our assignment last month of praying for our host and sending them a note, letting them know that we've been praying for them. And we got several of the CLs here that talked about how there was a lot of response to that. Some not as much as you would think, but there was some very good connections made regardless. And so we're excited about loving our hosts more and communicating through that love versus trying to get something from them or get something to them. So we're going to keep processing that down the road. So, all right, so let's dive into our first item here. I talked a little bit about this earlier, but God is bringing some new CLs our way, which we're so excited about. Sue Engebretson came on a couple months ago. So Sue, we're also very excited that you're here. Peter Holstrom is one of our new CLs. You'll see him soon. I think he's going to pop on the meeting shortly. And Tavis is joining us as well, and Pat Rossetti. And I'm in conversations with 2 or 3 more people that I'm hoping will come on board as CL. So be praying for those conversations that they would join us soon. My goal is for all these new CLs to take on new groups that are going to be starting out of this new campaign coming up, and more to come about that campaign shortly. But I want to ask you guys, or to even just be thinking about it, who are people that you know that could be a CL? And I'm finding some success lately in identifying folks that don't have as much time to serve on the weekend, but are looking to serve during the week. And possibly need the flexibility of working from home. That's a niche that we kind of have a little bit of the corner of the market on to some degree, where a lot of serving opportunities at Saddleback come through being at the building or serving on the weekend. So just keep that in mind as you're connecting with hosts. And if you find a host that's wanting to get more involved or seems to have some, encouraging spirit and loves, they get small group ministry, they understand the challenges and the joys of it, maybe they can come on board and help encourage new groups that are starting. So just keep that in mind and continue to be praying with me, because I am seeing God bring a wave of new CLs our way, and we need more of that. So we'll just keep praying for that. Sound good? Great. All right. So next agenda item, we wanted to go over a tip for caring for your host. And so I'm going to pass this part off to Vicki, but first I'm going to screen share something. So basically, Vicki's going to share with you all a process that she uses for caring for her groups. And obviously, we use Group Manager to log her contacts, but Vicki has a little bit more detailed process that she uses. I'm not sharing this, or we're not sharing this from the place of you needing to mimic this idea, but we do feel like there's some wisdom in this, and that it might trigger some thoughts for you of how you can contextualize this to how you serve. So let me screen share this, and we'll go from there. So hold on a second. Share screen. All right, Vicki, take it away.
All right. That one doesn't look like the one. I sent you another one this morning. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. You can see the bottom half there. So here's mine, and this is what I use. I have a notebook, and I spent a lot of time when I first started with my notebook here, and it's divided into, out the alphabet. And so everybody is filed by their last name. And so what I do is I use this small group host contact log, and mine's pretty messy. I reorganized this so I could share it with you. And there's up at the top, it says, of course, the details, the phone, email, the date that I'm going to write my note, the telephone, the email, the cell. The first one is T for text, E for email, and then C for, what is it? I forget. Cell, call, and V for voicemail, so if I struck out. So anyway, this all happened because I really wanted to keep better notes for when I contact my group host, because to write everything in the Group Manager is kind of difficult, and there's a lot of personal information that I actually receive when contacting a group host. And I'm a talker, as you can tell. And so when I call, I reveal little things about me and our group, and I ask some personal questions about them. And this sheet is to take some notes about them. So for instance, if I'm talking to my host and they said that they got a new puppy, or their son just got accepted into USC, or their husband's trying to find work, whatever detail they tell me, I write notes on it. So then when I contact them again by phone, and I'm lucky enough to reach them, I can refer back to these notes without scrolling through Group Manager and see how their dog is doing, or how their son is doing at USC when he starts, or and how their husband is doing about their job. So I have notes there that I refer to before I make the call. And why this is so successful to me for me is that they're more likely to open up to me to tell me more about what's going on in their group and how I can assist them. Because now I'm at a really personal level with them, and also a trusting level. And they think that they're so important to me because I remembered these details about their life. And if that ever happens to you and people are asking you, oh, well, how was your trip? I understand you went to Paris. And they're just like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not making any sense right at the moment. So sorry, I got off track. But anyway, anything that you know about them that you can refer to, this is like a cheat sheet. So I organize it. Mine's very messy when I write them on my page. So, but I do put down their name and their age. I did look in StaffNet about how old they are, or if it's Group Manager, where they meet. I write down all of the details and their meeting information. So I sound like I know immediately what's going on in their group. And it just makes you sound like you're really knowledgeable about them and care about them on a deeper level. So that's what I do. I suggest it highly so you don't have to scroll through Group Manager, because Pastor Jim, of course, has a lot of his own notes or messages that he sends to our groups. And then also, since I'm part of Superclass Sunday, I encourage people to attend class. And so it's easy to find out on their page if they've taken the classes or leadership training. And so I talk about that to them too. It's an opportunity. And maybe, you can make your own notes as far as baptism and other things that are requirement to be a host, to be public. But it's your page just to make it as messy or as nice as you want. And I just really suggest this for you. I don't know if anybody else is having these little cheat pages for extra notes instead of Group Manager, but it really, really works for me.
Thanks for sharing. Does anybody have any questions for Vicki about this process, the forms, anything that she said?
Well, I love it. I think it's great. And you know what else is great I see on this is to pray for them. You've got it right there, how to pray for them in your notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. If anybody wants the form, I'd be happy to email it to them.
Oh, I would love it. I
would love it. I do.
All right.
Great. So again, the idea here is to help us better care and love for them. And Vicki was sharing about somebody in her life that was really, really great at marketing and sales and just building that relationship with their customers so that those customers loved this salesperson because they knew their family, they knew names of their kids. Obviously, you don't, hey, my name's Al, I'm your CL. What are the names of your kids? Like that might be a little weird, right?
What's your social security number?
Driver's license. But yeah, so as you get to know them, and this is the key point, is any little details that they start to share with you about, hey, we went to a play last weekend or something. Oh, last time we talked, you said you went to a play. Have you seen any other plays since then? Oh, no, but I really want to go, blah, blah, blah. maybe here's another way to say it. I used to work in a law firm years ago, not my gifting or skill set, just a job through college. And being very relational as well, I loved connecting with everybody there. But there was one guy in the office that I couldn't break through to connect with him. I was one of the partners, and his name was Frank. And hey, Frank, how was your weekend? I was good. That was it. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Da, da, da. Like no connection at all. And then I discovered, I don't know how I discovered this. Maybe he said something about it, or I heard him talking to somebody else about it. But he's a big Chicago Cubs fan. And so after that, I just asked him about baseball, and he'd get talking once I found out he loved baseball. So be a student of your host and find out what gets them talking. What are their passions? What do they like to do? And this is a way to organize that and help you remember that. Because if you have 15 hosts, 20 hosts, it's hard to remember. For I think Vicky has 25, Ann has more than that. So for them, it's hard to remember every single host specifically, but this triggers your memory in some really great ways. So thanks, Vicky, for sharing that.
No problem.
So we'll send that out. Thanks, Vicky, for sending that out to everybody. Let's see. One thing for you new CLs that are coming on board, one thing that I love to do for you guys is we're going to create, and even any of our CLs that maybe still don't quite feel confident with Group Manager, I'd love to consider having you guys create a test group that you're the host of under your downline. So when we get you into Group Manager, you can create, and Pat, we'll work on that this week. We'll see if you still can't get in. But we'll create a small group for you, and you're the host of that group. And actually, that would be really great if you're not hosting a group to have you potentially have one, because I'd love for you to see the emails that I send out to the host about things every so often. Now that I think about it, I should have thought of this years ago, but oh well, we're here now. So if you're not currently hosting a group, let's get you to have some kind of test group under you so that you can stay connected with what I'm saying, but also it gives you a chance to practice with Group Manager and making changes to a group without actually messing up a real group, if that makes sense. So if you want to practice changing the day and time of the group, if you want to practice sending an email just to that group, which you can do, you can type out the email and click send, and it goes to you, and you can see how the formatting worked. And if you want to, add a picture or whatever, you can practice through that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I'd love for us to do that, and we'll work on getting that going. Maybe Quinn, if you maybe help me think through, like David Urbina, I don't think is hosting a group, so we'll maybe create one for him and let him know about that. So just we'll offline about that, but I like to make sure we do that. All right, so next on the list, Easter prep. Easter is coming. I'm so excited. Let me open up a link for you guys and share the screen again, because I've been talking with you guys for a little while. Okay, how can a CL serve at Easter? Because we're not going to really have a small group table presence at Easter. And so Dorothy and I were able to sit down this week and come up with our priority needs for Easter, the areas that we don't want to have gaps in. And I'll explain this to you a little bit more when I screen share it. So hold on a second here. Okay. This should be it. Okay, so we have a bunch of different types of roles that we're looking for help in. So we've got this, I don't necessarily see this being you guys, but we have some volunteers. They're going to help answer phone calls about an hour or so before each service, because we actually get a ton of calls that come in on Easter weekend. Hey, when are your Easter service times? Hey, what are the services again? And just simple, rehashing the service times or address or whatever. We have the Fresh Start table. So basically anybody who made a decision to accept Christ, we're going to have some little kits that we're going to be giving them with the Bible and some resources and some next steps. And so if you want to help serve at any of those services in that area, this is what I'm basically saying is this is our small group table presence this weekend, is to participate in one of these areas. So I told Dorothy that our team would help try to fill in some of these gaps as well. So it's Fresh Start. It's first time visitor. So maybe someone's new to Saddleback and it's their first visit. We have a different, gift for them. And so you all understand friendliness and being kind to people and helping them, encourage them in their next steps. Data entry may not necessarily be us, but if you really like data entry and you want to help input response card stuff, Pastor Jeremiah sends out, like if it's a first-time visitor or salvation, emails go out like immediately after the service to those folks. Those response cards, we vet them first before we submit them to the central team. We got some folks that are going to help out with campus care. Don't worry about that one for now, but we have baptism support. So we actually have a couple groups that are signing up to help out, but we have some needs for some baptism help during our Sunday services at the stadium and at Anaheim. And then Good Friday, after our Good Friday service, we actually got some groups that are signing up for that, so I'm not too worried about that. And we got some groups signing up to help with the Sunrise Stadium setup. So I would say most of it is helping out at the Fresh Start table, the first-time visitor table, and then if anybody wants to do behind-the-scenes stuff with data entry or campus care or something, let us know. But I'm going to send this link to you, and if you're available to help next weekend and serve in some slots, if you can put your name in, that would be great, and we'll go from there. Any questions on that?
No, I just want to tell everybody that we have been working in behind the scenes, and the Fresh Start table is going to get a really nice gift. The first-time guest table is going to be giving a really nice gift to these people, and it's very exciting that our church is so very, very generous, because these are really nice things. They're going to be presented very nicely, so very, very happy about what's going on in behind the scenes. And if you have any minutes to go volunteer during the day right now, we're really in a huge need. We put together for the kids like thousands and thousands of eggs with little tattoos and candy and squishy things. I mean, it's really amazing what's going on over at Saddleback Anaheim.
Yeah, so I would say Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be really big days of prep time for anybody that's free. Every Tuesday, I don't know if everybody knows this. We need to get the word out a little bit more on it, but partially why we haven't is we're kind of trying to pace the growth of it. We don't want to have too many volunteers show up and not have the help for it. But Easter, there's probably more than enough to go around. So about 9 or 9:30 in the morning on Tuesday till about 11:30 or noon, just depending on the load of projects, we have what we call Volunteer Central. Anna Hernandez, one of our volunteer leaders, is coordinating all the different volunteer projects that as Saddleback Kids needs. Sometimes I give her projects. Operations gives her project. I mean, there's all kinds of projects to do. And so they get together and do projects together on Tuesday. And then for me on Wednesday, we're going to be putting together the New Believer kits. This is my New Life kits, I think they call them now. I don't know if they call them Fresh Start, but that's kind of what we're familiar with lingo-wise. But yeah, so we're going to be making 350 little kits that have a Bible and a few pamphlets and some next steps cards and stuff in them. So we'll be probably sorting that on Wednesday. So once I get a little bit more clarity, I'm going to send out probably a last-minute push email to see if any host or person wants to come by and help stuff and sort and all that stuff. So yeah, so if you know of anybody that's looking to serve and they want to serve during the day, Tuesday in the morning is a great time to come by and help out. Great.
Jim, I don't think you said anything about the stadium over to the right on that chart.
Yes.
Okay, now I see that.
Some of it's blocked out, but basically the focus is on the new visitor and new believer stuff. And then I think there will be some teardown happening on Sunday after the 11. We'll need some help for that too. If you know of any groups or anybody that's still looking to serve, the focus right now is getting everything set up, but teardown I think is a little bit easier to do when it comes to taking all the chairs out versus lining them up and figuring out the order of everything. That takes a little bit more thought. So yeah, does that answer your question, Quint?
Yeah, and my part B, or the last part, is you're going to share this with us, and then we can just type in.
Yeah, just type in your name where you like.
Just like we do for serving at the table.
Yeah, so we're trying to streamline all the needs into one spot because baptism team has their own schedule. Greeting has their own. We're just trying to merge it all for Easter so we can get a picture in one spot. So great. And then just kind of along the same lines, as always, our small group table. We have, oops, hold on a second. Need to move this over here. Serving at the small groups table, we have our signups there. It looks like we're good for this weekend. I don't know if anybody's going to be around during the 6th that can maybe help give Peter a little introduction to serving at the table. But yeah, this is our sign-up sheet for that. We can ignore this part of it. We can probably, you know what, actually maybe we'll connect with Anne, and her signups will direct her to, we'll direct her to the other sign up there. But yeah, as you see, as we hop into April, we don't have a lot signed up yet. So as you know your schedule, if you can start to sign up for spots that you can help when you're between services and stuff like that. So yeah, so just a little plug for the table. Overall coverage is good, but we still have a few gaps and a few holes. And so it just helps us to, if you're planning on coming, to put your name in, because sometimes we don't see anybody on the coverage, but then a few people show up. So so just let us know if you're able to come.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I'm bouncing between screens here. Hold on a second. Let me change all this up. Okay. So, did Peter hop on? Did I see Peter right there?
I think so. Am I on?
Yes, you are. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
So, Peter, we're recording the meeting. So I'll get you a link to probably a YouTube link that you can watch the prior part of the meeting before. But thanks for coming on board. Let's actually pause for a second, Peter. We with the other new CLs that are coming on board, we asked, you know, how long they've been or how they found their way to Saddleback and how they found their way to the small groups team. So can you share a little bit of your story with us as it relates to that?
Sure. This is really weird for me. I've never done a teleconference before. Being old school, this is really, really weird. I'm not even sure I have the camera in the right place.
We see you.
Do you? Okay,
Yep.
well, that's good. Because I don't see myself. I got involved with Saddleback Anaheim, and you gave me an assignment to work at the hotel ministry small group. And then from there, I was introduced, you gave me the assignment of teaching at 201. Mm-hmm. And I've always been involved with small groups, so you offered me the opportunity to serve God in that way. So that's how I got there.
Great. Well, we're excited to have you, Peter. Peter has a huge heart for people, and one of the things I love about him at Class 201, he's always, before the class starts, sitting down, chatting with people, writing their names down so he can remember them while he's teaching, and just has a huge heart to connect with people. So I'm excited to see how that's going to transpire as a community leader.
I'm very excited to be a CL. I'm really excited about it.
Great. Very good. So let me hop over. Sorry, I keep hopping from watching you guys over to my list of to-dos here. All right. So this is probably our bigger processing for the day. We are going to be, as you know, Pastor Rick's going to be starting this series on doors at Easter and right after Easter. The Door to Your Destiny, or I don't know the exact title yet, but basically God opens doors in our life, closes doors in our life. And Rick's going to really explore that theme a lot more. And as some of you know, we're always very passionate about shortly after Easter starting a bunch of small groups. We did that last year and it worked really well, and we're getting ready to do that again. And it sounds like Rick has that idea on his mind too. So he's turning this into a campaign. And the interesting thing is, typically when a campaign happens, we suspend a little bit of our calendar of activities. Like, for example, our foundations class, we have some dates lined up. We're probably going to restart that. We're probably going to pause that because we try to simplify our schedule so that the focus can be on the campaign. And that's something that Rick's really passionate about. So yeah, this is a full-blown campaign in terms of Rick wanting students and kids to do this topic as well. But what's not normal about it, and obviously because of the last minute aspect of it, the curriculum that groups are going to be getting is more of activities and notes and ideas versus a workbook and a DVD. So I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. I'm not fully grasping all the concepts yet. I'm going to pull up an email from one of our leaders who sent out a note to all the small groups pastors. So I'll read a little bit of it to you guys so you get a feel. But before we do that, a lot of us can be planners and we like to have things planned out and stuff figured out. But when it comes to working at Saddleback and serving at Saddleback, we know that we got to be fast, fluid, and flexible to not just survive here, but to thrive here. And so I've learned over the years to hold things a little bit more loosely and not, but I have this plan to do Operation Start More Groups, and we're about to stuff all these boxes, and we're about to do this and that. And it's like, okay, well, that was our plan, but it looks like God is going to still do that in some way. It's just going to look a little different than what we were planning. So don't freak out over it. We're going to have a blast, and God's going to do some really great stuff through this. And I'm super excited that Pastor Rick's really excited about starting groups right after Easter. That's something that we found a lot of success in last year. We've done campaigns right after Easter before. I think Miracle and Mercy kicked off right after Easter or something last time. But yeah, so there's some good stuff to be had. So let me pull up this email and just summarize a few notes for you. There's a guy named Dave Alford, who's a pastor to the small group pastors that are at the regional campuses. So here's a little bit that he's sharing with us. Basic thoughts. Number one, in order to start groups and know what groups are participating, we need a physical exchange of materials on the patio. More on the small group kit below. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Campaign is April and May, starting Easter and concluding right before Memorial Day. Children and students will be on board. Possible dates. Again, this could change in the next couple days, but we're looking at kind of a week launch, a week away from launching this Doors campaign on Easter. Rick's going to kick off with that. And then week 2 might be a small group distribution on April 7th. We'll figure that out as we go. April 14th, 15 weekend, small group start week, and that will be week 1 with distribution. So our opening day weekend of baseball is going to somehow include passing out curriculum. We'll figure that out as we move along. And then the weeks ending May 20th, 19th, and 20th, week 6. So here's one of the points that he shares. Small groups would not have curriculum, but would gather weekly for progress and prayer, progress in how they're doing with opening doors, and pray for people they are engaging specifically. So the whole idea behind this campaign, everyone, is that this is more of an evangelistic campaign. And in our staff meeting last week, Rick was talking about how typically we as followers of Christ are so busy being at church that we're not even having the space to connect with our neighbors. We're running around doing all these church meetings and small groups and all this stuff, and we're not even building those relationships with, our neighbors, with the people we work with or whatnot. So Rick was really, I heard some new things from Rick at our last staff meeting where he was talking about slowing down more. We're not a church that's known to slow down much, but Rick's really wanting us to reevaluate our calendar and how busy we are and to consider slowing things down. So this campaign and the focus of it's going to be more of talking about open doors, discernment. Remember, Rick talked about this campaign is going to teach us discernment, but us to learn how to open those doors and connect with people. And our small group time is going to be a little bit more activity based, a little bit more, okay, what was your week like? And how did it go for you to connect with these people and people that you're praying for? And so it's a little bit more active in its process. And again, it's going to be very counterintuitive for a lot of us because we're used to just throwing in the DVD and talking about it, but Rick wants us doing it. And so there's this idea of having a small group kit that would look like a box, and somehow that box would be opening like a door with the door graphic on the lid. And possible contents would include just a few little handouts and resources and stickers and stuff, and things for each individual of the group to kind of map out their different relational circles, if you will, to identify people in your neighborhood, or be praying for receptive families or people in your workplace or whatever. There looks like there'll be some kind of help for host DVD, which will probably be watched more than normal because we're going to need a lot of help trying to figure out what to do with this campaign. There'll be a social media push, and so on and so forth. So I'll forward you his email for those, or you don't have to read it, but I know someone like Quent or, one or two others would probably want to read this and get a feel for it. But as you can tell, it's going to be a lot different, and it's like, okay, we're going from 0 to 200 miles an hour in a couple weeks. But we'll figure this out, and I'm going to be having some conversations over the next couple of days to try to get more clarity. We're about ready to stuff some small group kits. I have about 30 or 40, I think, that are at the church that we're going to stuff, and then order some more. Our plan was to do a launch in around April 20th or 25th or whatever that weekend is after the 15th, 21st. That was our plan, but it looks like our plan might be changing. I have no idea how they're going to get these boxes so quickly, but we have some boxes. If they don't execute on that idea fully, we'll have some kits to start some groups when we're ready to do so. So if you guys can just kind of be ready and hold things loosely. And my goal is with these new CLs coming on board that they would take most, if not all, of the new groups that are getting started from the campaign. That's the goal. And we'll look and see if any of our existing CLs have a little bit of space for some groups, but I think a few of you are on the list of not adding more groups right now because you have too much. So yeah, I know it's kind of out there and it's a little confusing, but any questions that I can try to help facilitate regarding the Doors campaign?
Jim, just one. Do you think we will be asked to put on hold the studies that we're doing now, like a lot of people are doing Pastor Tom's study? Is this kind of something we do for 10 or 15 minutes during a regular group, or do we, like previous campaigns, drop everything and we only do campaign material for 6 weeks or whatever it is?
What I'm hearing so far is that this is a drop and focus on this. That's what I'm hearing so far.
Okay.
So we'll see how Rick kind of presents that on the weekend. But he seems very excited about this campaign and the interest that I think it'll have for people that are wanting to explore this concept of God opening doors and closing doors, or even the idea of us being able to help others open doors. I don't know did anybody see this is a little bit of a tangent, but did anybody see the I Can Only Imagine movie?
Not yet.
If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. But there's just a scene in the movie where one of the characters opens a door for somebody else and gives them an opportunity that they wouldn't have been able to have if that person didn't allow that to happen. So it's kind of an interesting concept we don't think a lot about, of what are the areas of influence that we have to give somebody a chance, an open door that they maybe wouldn't get if we didn't open that door for them. So it's a very interesting concept. Another side tangent about movies. I guess there's a movie out about Paul, the Apostle Paul, right now. And my wife went and saw it last night and she loved it. She spoke really highly of it. And one of her favorite Christian movies she's ever seen. So it portrays the story of Paul and his relationship with Luke. And it's in a stage of Paul's older stage of his life. Now, the movie's rated PG-13 because of some violence, because there's a lot of persecution of Christians. So it does show that, but it's just a really apparently well done movie. So I'm gonna try to see it at some point. So just FYI. Yeah.
Before, because I have to leave, I have a quick question about the small group for the children. You mentioned about that.
So I'm sure the Saddleback Kids team is feverishly working away to create some curriculum for the kids programs, on the weekend, and for KSG and stuff, for them to be a part of this campaign. So the idea is that our students, our children, and our adults are all going through this together. So students is working on their own expression of that, as well as Saddleback Kids. So Again, it seems like it's more of coaching and notes and ideas, and the group's actually spending time praying through those ideas, talking through those ideas together. It's one that's going to get us out of our seats a little bit, and so it's going to cause some discomfort. And maybe that's where we can think about how we can coach our host to lead through that discomfort of action steps that maybe people may not be ready to take, and that's okay. We don't have to force them to take that, but how do you move the group forward if someone in the group's not excited about taking those steps yet? Because it is going to be a little uncomfortable, but I think God's going to do some really good stuff through it. So I just heard Rick talking in our staff meeting a little bit about simplicity, and he's always has so many ideas and so many things to be running after. This was just new for me to hear this, where he was, just things I was hearing him say about, we're so busy here that we are spending too much time doing all the work, and we need to really empower volunteers more. That's not new. I've heard him say that before, but he was seeing that there's a lot of room for improvement in Saddleback, and part of that was slowing our pace down a little bit. And I haven't heard him say it quite that way before. So God's going to do something through this. I'm excited. I don't know what it looks like yet, but we do know that we can continue to get ready for new groups. There's going to be a wave of new groups coming, so we're going to get ready for that by praying for more CLs and praying for more people to get involved, and continue to serve our CLs by loving on them and caring for them through those prayers and things that we're doing. So does that make sense?
Okay. And I'm sorry, I think I have to leave a little early from the meeting because I have to bring my daughter.
We're almost, I'm pretty much at the tail end of my notes. So yeah. Any other questions? Thanks, Anthony, for being here this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions about the DOOR campaign that I can try to answer? So I'm going to work on getting some more details, and I'm going to send out some information to our groups to get ready for this. And then the next month's assignment for you guys, I don't have clarity on that yet because I don't have as much clarity as I'd like on the Doors campaign. But in the next week or so, I'll have a little bit more clarity on kind of what your next assignment can be. So I think at the meantime, just continue to be excited for Easter. And if any groups are looking to serve or want to serve, just continue to keep that in mind in that Excel sheet that I'll send your way, where a group can help out in a couple other ways. So we have about 5 or 6 groups that are signing up to serve together. Maybe it's closer to 7 or 8, but I'm excited for these groups to jump in together. It's really cool. I know of at least 1 or 2 groups last year that served together at Easter, so that's definitely an improvement for us. And it's really cool to support, Dorothy and the welcome team and the operations team with all that they've got going on, and us saying, hey, we're here to support you. Let us dive in too. So that's been really exciting. All right, let me look at my notes here. A few of you, I'm going to need to get a photo of you with our wood wall backdrop over by the small group cart. Peter, I'd like to get a photo of you for a little card that we're printing that has all our CLs on it with like their name and their face and stuff. And then a few other CLs that aren't here today, Renee and Susan, I need their pictures too. And then lastly, Vicky, do you want to tell us about a little party that's coming up?
Hey, we love parties. So we need to get to know each other more intimately, I think, and know what kind of great people are on our team. So on April 28th, we're going to have a party at my house.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I live in Tustin. I'm right off the 55 freeway. And we'll be sending out a little invitation to you, probably by email of about the details. And we're going to have lunch. And it's going to start, 11 o'clock, Pastor Jim?
11 till about 1:30, somewhere in there.
He's got to get back to church and be a pastor. So put that on your calendar, April 28th. And if you have any special dietary requirements, can you please let me know?
And spouses, significant others are
invited. Love to have you. Want your spouse with you or your significant other?
We'll play some games. I'm going to share a little something from Pastor Rick in one of his staff meetings. Again, new stuff that I hadn't heard him share before. about kind of basically Rick in a roundabout way added another purpose to to the purpose, roughly speaking. So I'm going to share that with you. It's really powerful, and we'll have some good time eating and playing games, and also celebrating Easter and celebrating all these new groups that we have no idea. In hindsight, we'll look back on April 28th and say, remember at our last meeting, we had no idea what was happening, and look what God did since then. So it'll be fun. Very good. Does anybody have any questions, any challenges, anything they want feedback from everybody on before we wrap up our meeting? Nope. All right. So in summary, we are going to sign up for Easter to serve in a couple spots as you're available. We're going to be ready to move quickly in whatever direction Pastor Rick calls us to move quickly in. Regarding the Doors campaign, we're going to hang out on April 28th and celebrate at Vicky's house. And then we're just going to have fun loving on and praying for our host and letting that be the source of our connection with them versus feeling like, oh, Pastor Jim wants me to get this information from them, or I need to pass off this to them. No, let's start with, man, God loves this host so much. God, I'm starting to learn to love this host in that way too, and I'm going to enjoy praying for them out of this responsibility that I have to serve them, and let that be the source of our communication with them. And if anybody wants that somewhat long email about the campaign, like Quint, I'll send that over to you, and anybody else wants to read,
I'll read it.
A little bit of it, they can just ask me and I'll forward it on. So, but yeah, but half of that email will probably change by Tuesday. So we'll figure it out. But that's the joy of working here, is being on our toes and not getting too established in one thing and getting stuck somewhere. So yeah, a lot of fun. Well, thank you guys again. I'm so glad that you guys were here this morning. And Peter, what an honor for me to be a part of your first video conference. This has been great.
Even though I'm quite late, and I'm sorry to everybody. I apologize to everybody. I'm really old school. I mean, I'm old school. So,
that's why we love you, man. That's why we love you. We need more of that in our.
I just apologize to
right?
everyone for not being on time, and I really appreciate your patience with me, particularly with technology. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Great. Well, we're here to help, and there's a lot of people here that can help answer your questions, and we'll help you along the way. So we're better together.
Thank you for all your help you've given me.
Well, you're welcome.
I have one question, Dan. Is Ann on the? I can't tell with my picture. Is Ann on?
Ann was supposed to be here this morning, but she had to back out due to some commitments and a busy load today. So she's not on right now, but were you going to connect with her at the table today?
Well, last week I was at the table, and I had a couple fill out one of those sheets, and she was supposed to pick it up after service, and I don't know if the sheet got picked up or not.
I'm pretty sure it did. She walked away with a bunch of follow-ups. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ann's pretty thorough and responsible, and has, if Ann's got it, it's in good hands. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if she got it. That was my only question.
Yeah, she did.
Well, good. Okay.
Great. So it's going to be a great weekend. I'm excited for Easter. We've got our opening day weekend of baseball in there too. And just be praying for all the details as we get everything lined up. We're actually going to do baptisms over at the stadium in addition to baptisms at Anaheim. So I bought this little inflatable jacuzzi thing. So that should be fun. Well, hopefully that'll work out well for us. And there's just a lot of fun little stories like that along the way as we're getting ready for Easter. So it's going to be good.
Awesome.
Great. Would someone pray us out to close? Great. Thanks.
Heavenly Father, thank you again so much for your son and for this Easter season. Thank you for Pastor Jim and all the preparation and for his leadership. Help us to bring many, many more to you this next weekend. Thank you for our new community leaders. Help us to help them, get them established, and so that we can just serve more and bring more to your kingdom. Thank you. We love you. Thank you for our team. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, y'all. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, Pat, Quinn,
Bye.
Vicki, Sue, Peter, Tavis.
Bye.
All right, we'll see you
Bye,
guys
everybody.
soon.